What's the deal? It's your boy Rodney the Boss, multi-platinum and Grammy Award-winning producer of Lil Wayne on the Carter 3, Plies, Lil Boosie, Mr. Magic, Rocco. The list just goes on, you know what I'm saying? I'm rocking with my girl, Amber Alert, on the Takeover on the AATI network.
Hey, it's Riff. You rocking with Gemini the Queen.
What up, man? It's your boy DJ Nothing Nice, WNRDB, Orlando, Florida. You know, the palm tree lifestyle, that's how we get down. Grammy member, engineer, producer, RIAA member, you know, just entrepreneur worldwide, you know, just rocking, doing what we do right here, you know what I'm saying? With your homegirl, Gemini the Queen, on Amber Alert.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, what's good? This is your girl, Gemini the Queen, DJ Amber Alert, always by my side. I happened to run into a video of something I did not know occurred. So we're going to hear what Mark Sucks a Turd has to say about this bullshit. But first, I would like to say I played a very good prank yesterday on the people. And I had a lot of y'all asses up in my goddamn DMs and inbox telling me fucking congratulations on my damn pregnancy. Bitch. Y'all really called me fat. Fuck what y'all talking about. I posted the response. There's a response up. Okay, don't you worry about it. Go check my body out. All right, let's hear this.
Take down something that we're not supposed to. I mean, that is like. That's the worst.
That's the worst.
Like how, say, these Christian Facebook pages. I don't know how they found out that 19 of 20 were fake. But if someone just says, I am Bob Smith, and they post as Bob Smith, and they have a photograph, but really what they're doing is trying to talk shit about Joe Biden and get people to vote Republican in the midterms. Like, how do you know whether someone's real or not? Like, this is the big argument with Elon and Twitter. Because Elon asked Twitter, what percentage of your website is filled with bots? And they say 5%. And he says, I don't believe you. I think it's higher. Mm-hmm. And let's find out how you've come to this conclusion.
Yeah.
And, I believe they said that they just took 100 random Twitter pages and looked at the interaction, and there's some sort of algorithm they applied to it. But how do you discern?
Yeah, so I think estimating the overall prevalence is one thing, but I think that the question of looking at a page and is this page authentic, I think that there's a bunch of signals around that. One of the things that we try to do is for large pages, we try to make sure that we know who the admin of that page is. We don't necessarily, you should be able to run an anonymous page. You don't necessarily need to out yourself and say who you are running it.
Run an anonymous page.
We want to make sure that we sort of have an identity for that person on file, so that way we know, at least behind the scenes, that person is real.
That's why y'all ID'd me, bitch.
I think having a sense of what country they're originating from. Some of that you can do just by looking at where their server traffic comes from. Like, is the IP address coming from Romania, or because if it's like an ad in some other country's election, then you probably want to make sure that ad is especially in countries that have laws around that, are coming from someone who's a valid citizen, or at least in that place. So
I have a question. Do y'all truly really believe that there is this giant conspiracy around voting and motherfuckers making fake ass pages to try to persuade other people, and then it actually fucking works? Do y'all really believe this shit? Do y'all really think Russia was the reason that such and such won the election because of the Russians on the fucking me internet, on the fucking me Facebook? Is that what we would think?
No, there's a bunch of...
Fuck.
I think...
Fuck.
One theme in my worldview around this stuff, when it gets to some of the stuff that we talked about before, is I don't think that this stuff is black and white, or that you're ever going to have a perfect AI system I think it's all
it's an
trying to
AI
avoid it.
system?
Right, and
Oh.
and you could either build a system
Wait a minute.
black and white, or that you're ever going to have like a perfect AI system.
Bitch,
I think
it's not
all
even
trade-offs all
people.
the way down. Right, and you could either build a system, and you can either be
Oh my gosh.
overly aggressive and capture a higher percent of the bad guys, but then also by accident take out some number of good guys.
Yeah, like
Or
y'all
you
be
could a
doing
little more
us.
lenient and say, okay, no, the cost of taking out any number of good guys is too high, so we're going to tolerate having just a little bit more more bad guys on the system.
Just
These
let
are
them do what
values
they do,
questions,
bitch.
right around what do you value more, and those are super tricky questions. And part of what I've struggled with around this is I didn't get into this to basically judge those things. I got into this to design technology that helps people connect, right? It's like, and like, I mean, you could probably tell when we spent the first hour talking about the metaverse and the future of basically building this whole technology roadmap to basically give people this realistic sense of presence. It's like, that's what I'm here to do, right? So this whole thing that's like arbitrating what is okay and what is not, I obviously have to be involved in that because this is at some level, I run the company and I can't just advocate that. But I also don't think that as a matter of governance, you want all of that decision-making vested in one individual. So I think one of the things that our country and our government gets right is the separation of powers. So one of the things that I tried to create is we created this oversight board. It's an independent board where that basically we appointed people whose kind of paramount value is free expression, but they also balance that with things like when is there going to be real harm to others in terms of safety or privacy or other human rights issues. And basically that board, people in our community can appeal cases to when they think that we got it wrong, and that board actually gets to make the final binding decision, not us. So in a way, I actually think that is a more legitimate form of governance than having just a team internally that makes these decisions, or maybe some of them go up to me, although I don't spend a ton of my time on this on a day-to-day basis. But like, I think it's generally good to have some kind of separation of powers where you're architecting the governance so that way you have different stakeholders and different people who can make these decisions, and it's not just like one private company that's making decisions even about what just happens on our platform.
How do you guys handle things when they're a big news item that's controversial? Like there was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Yeah, y'all didn't want nobody to know about that.
As well?
So we took a different path than
Twitter.
Talk
about it.
I mean, basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us. The FBI team was like, hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election.
That wasn't propaganda,
we have
bitch.
it on notice that basically
truth.
There's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false.
Yeah, they did do that.
For I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
Can we say the distribution
listen to these lies.
decreased?
It got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit
They
less.
was not.
So
no,
fewer people saw it than would have otherwise.
I remember this shit.
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful.
Nah, hell
but basically,
he out here flat up lying. Well, he was lying to
a
the
lot of people were still able to
court,
share
so
it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case.
That is not
this is a hyper-political issue, so depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white about it as Twitter. We just kind of thought, hey, look, if the FBI, which I still view as a legitimate institution in this country, it's like very professional law enforcement, if they come to us and tell us that we need to be on guard about something, then I want to take that seriously.
Did they specifically say you need to be on guard about that story?
No, I don't remember if it was that specifically, but it basically fit the pattern.
When something like that turns out to be real, is there regret for not having it evenly distributed and for throttling the distribution of that story?
I am doing a show right now.
What do you mean evenly distributed?
I mean evenly in that it's not suppressed. It's not
yeah. I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it turned out after the fact, the fact checkers looked into it, no one was able to say it was false, right? So basically, it had this period where it was getting list distribution. So yeah, I mean, but I think I think it sucks though. I think in the same way that probably having to go through like a criminal trial but being proven innocent in the end sucks. Like it still sucks to have like that you had to go through a criminal trial, but at the end you're free. So I don't know if the answer would have been don't do anything or don't have any process. I think the process was pretty reasonable. You know, we still let people share it, but obviously you don't want situations like that.
But certainly much more reasonable than Twitter's stance, and it's probably also the case of armchair quarterbacking, right? Or at least Monday morning quarterbacking, I should say, because in the moment you had reason to believe, based on the FBI talking to you, that it wasn't real and that there was going to be some propaganda. So what do you do?
Yeah.
And then if you just let it get out there, and what if it changes the election and it turns out to be bullshit? That's a real problem.
But
and I would imagine that those kind of decisions are the most difficult.
Obviously.
The decisions of like what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do in that situation?
I don't know what I would do. I would have to like really thoroughly. Well, first of all, you're dealing with the New York Post, which is one of the oldest newspapers in the country. So I would say I would want to talk to someone from the New York Post, and I would say, how did you come up with this data? Like where are you getting the information from? How do you know whether or not this is correct? And
count the OGs,
then you have to make a decision because they might have got duped.
That's off.
It's very.
We've seen it.
It's hard because everybody wants to look at it after the fact. Now that we know that the laptop was real and it was a legitimate story and there is potential corruption involved with him, what we think, that should not have been restricted, that should not have been banned from sharing on Twitter. Right. I think everybody agrees with that. Even Twitter agrees with that. But the thing is, then they didn't think that. In the beginning, they thought it was fake. So what do? Like, if something comes along and the Republicans cook up some scheme to make it look like Joe Biden's a terrible person, and they only do it so that they can win the election, but it's really just propaganda. What are you supposed to do with that? You're supposed to not allow that to be distributed. So if they think that's the case, it makes sense to me that they would try to stop it. But I just don't think that they looked at it hard enough. When the New York Post is talking about it, you know, they're pretty smart about what they release and what they don't release. If they're going over some data from a laptop and you could talk to a person, but again, like this is just one story, like one individual story. Like how many of these pop up every day, especially in regards to polarizing issues like climate change or COVID or you know foreign policy or Ukraine. Anytime there's like a really controversial issue where some people think that it's imperative that you take a very specific stance and you can't have the other stance. Like those moments on social media, those trouble a lot of people because they don't know why certain things get censored or certain things get promoted.
That wasn't a question, but good question, bitch.
And
you agree.
To be in your spot.
You mean you
that was
agree.
one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about. Is this. Like to be in your spot must be insanely difficult.
The fuck?
To have, no matter what decision you make,
basically just said the government tells him what he's allowed to do.
And there might be a right way to handle it, but I don't know what the fuck the right way is.
Well, I think the right way is to establish principles for governance that try to be balanced and not have the decision-making too centralized. Because I think that it's hard for people to accept that, like, some team at Meta or that I personally am making all these decisions.
I have
I
a
think people should be
suggestion.
skeptical about
What if you
any-
just block
so much
the
concentration
motherfuckers
around
that
So that's
you
why
don't like and
a lot
you
of the
don't want to see?
innovation that I've tried to push for in governance
How
is
about that?
around things like establishing this oversight board. So that way you have people who are luminaries
shit.
around expression from all over the world, but also in the U.S. Folks like Michael McConnell, who's a Stanford professor, who's like he was I forget which Republican president appointed him, but he was I think going to be considered for the Supreme Court at some point. He's a very very prominent and kind of celebrated free expression advocate, and he helped me set the thing up. And I think like setting up forms of governance around
AI
that are independent of us,
Mark
that
Zuckerberg
basically get the final say on a bunch of these decisions. And that's a step in the right direction. In the Hunter Biden case that you talked about before, I don't want our company to decide what's misinformation and what's not.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
We work
Can you not?
with third parties and basically let different organizations do that. Now, then you have the question of, are those organizations biased or not? And that's a very difficult question. But at least we're not the ones who are basically sitting here deciding. We're not the Ministry of Truth for the world that's deciding whether everything is true or not. I'd say this is not a solved problem.
This bullshit?
Controversies aren't going away.
He just said it ain't his fault because they hired other companies to do the shit. Bitch.
First
it was AI, now it's third-party companies' fault.
So I think sitting in the U.S., that it's easy to extrapolate and say, hey, it probably feels this way around the whole world. And from the social science research that I've seen, that's not actually the case. There's a bunch of countries where social media is just as prominent, but polarization is either flat or has declined slightly. So there's something kind of different happening in the U.S. But for better or worse, it does seem like the next several years do seem like they're set up to be quite polarized. So I tend to agree with you. There are going to be a bunch of different decisions like this that come up. Because of the scale of what we do, almost every major world event has some angle that's like the Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp angle.
Do y'all know what that means?
Services are used in it. So, I think just establishing as much as possible
that
independent
means
governance.
y'all thought y'all was going to Facebook jail now? Oh, your bitch ass is really going to Facebook jail real soon. Oh my gosh. Woo.
What's the deal? It's your boy Rodney the Boss, multi-platinum and Grammy Award-winning producer of Lil Wayne on the Carter 3, Plies, Lil Boosie, Mr. Magic, Rocco. The list just goes on, you know what I'm saying? I'm rocking with my girl, Amber Alert, on the Takeover on the AATI network.
Hey, it's Riff. You rockin' with Gemini the Queen.
What up, man? It's your boy DJ Nothing Nice, Deminar DB, Orlando, Florida. The palm tree lifestyle. That's how we get down. Grammy member, engineer, producer, RIAA member. Just entrepreneur worldwide. Just rocking, doing what we do right here. You know what I'm saying? With your homegirl, Gemini the Queen, on Amber Alert. We're just doing what we do. You know what I'm saying? We're doing the big boy things. You know what I'm saying? Doing the big boy things. You know what I'm saying? You got to do the big boy things. You feel me, player? But it is what it is, man. Holla at your boy, man. DJ Nothing Nice, man. We in here, man. Let's go. Blah.